It's not another Buffalo podcast, hosted by three of the most underqualified sports personalities this side of the canal. With John.
There's no way in hell that I can leave that in, right?
You don't think so?
Well, to quote Rage Against the Machine, what better place than here? And, what better time than now?
And Brando.
We have this trust built on, whatever it is, like Bibles and gold bricks and whatever Brandon Bean's drinking over there.
All right, welcome back to Not Another Buffalo Podcast. I'm John. I'm here with my buddy Brando here on a Thursday afternoon, a little bit later this week. Apologies to anyone who was waiting for this episode on Wednesday, which is probably not that many people, but that's all right. Yeah, I was going to say the five of you. We apologize. But you can find us on all platforms at Not Buff Podcast. This episode is brought to you by Small City Realty. If you're looking to buy, sell, or manage property in Western New York, our guy, Zach Korzelius, he's our favorite realtor in Western New York.
Yes,
buying, selling, or property management, 585-409-1088. 585-409-1088. I'll put that in the show notes in case you can't remember it, even though we say it every single week, and you should have it drilled into your head. And if you're like me, you give that phone number when somebody asks you for your phone number because you read it so much. So anyway, that or shoot me an email at Zachary@smallcityrealestate.com. All that's in the show notes if you forget it. Again, buying, selling, or managing property in Western New York, Zach is your guy. So Brando, obviously it was a good idea that we waited to record this week because so much happened in between the time that we were going to record on Tuesday and then I had something come up and then now. Yeah. So it's like the Hard Knocks thing, that didn't happen until yesterday.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about the Hallmark movie and stuff like that. All these owners meetings finished up. We had the Tush Push. Not banned.
I forgot about all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been a lot because of the owners meetings going on
with the
those
Tush
kind
Push
of votes happening. So
2 votes short.
I think so. They needed like a super majority, like of 75%, and
they got 22 instead of 24.
Yeah. So they had like 22 votes for and 10 against, I want to say.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious that's a victory for like the Eagles here. And I remember getting notifications like they're bringing in the big guns. Jason Kels is here to, he's the big lobbyist in this equation, trying to do his franchise a solid. And I'm like,
he did. Did you see the ones that voted yes for it?
For banning it?
The ones that wanted to keep it.
Oh, it's all the AFC East teams besides the Bills, right?
Yeah, which is interesting because like Tua's not getting pushed. Drake May might figure it out, and the Jets they don't have a quarterback. So okay, by voting against the proposal, these are the teams that wanted to keep it: the Eagles, Ravens, Browns, Lions, Jags, Dolphins, Patriots, Saints, and Jets and Titans.
I was surprised, but if you need a 75% vote, I'm sure it's going to be another year, and then they're just going to bring it up next year, and it's probably going to be banned at some point, right?
Yeah, I mean, all it is going to take here is the Dolphins, Jets, or I think the Patriots would stay on the side with Drake May, but the Dolphins or the Jets to lose a close game here with Drake May or Josh Allen. We're playing the NFC East this year, right? We're all going to play the Eagles, so. We'll see how you play the Eagles, you play the Bills twice. That's 3 games. We'll see how effective the Tush Push is in those 3 games, and maybe we'll make them eat their words that they wanted to keep it.
Yeah, it's such a funny political game because the reasons for it getting banned is not the reasons that will sway teams one way or another. It's like we're debating the same issue, but the politics of it are a different thing than connected. Like, that this happens in real politics all the time where it's like, the reason is disconnected from the law that we're actually voting on and stuff like that. Whereas like, teams, it's all about competitive advantage when it comes down to it for these teams when they're voting. Although the issues that are being brought up are A, player safety, B, the fact that like it's kind of a non-football play because for years, or most of the NFL's history, you haven't been able to aid a player push or pull moving forward unless there's some kind of, pile up happening, if that makes sense. Like we all love the play where the running back gets kind of tied up a little bit and then, Deion Dawkins, the snowplow comes in out of nowhere and then pushes the pile forward and pushes James Cook into the end zone. Like we love that play. So I don't know how that will affect this play because the language is going to have to be pretty specific. Are you outlawing anybody pushing anybody? Yeah. Or are you outlawing just under center pushing the quarterback, that kind of thing? And Deion Dawkins did come out and say that this is tough on offensive linemen and they're health and stuff like that. So Jason Kelce, of course, came out and said, no, it's fine. Yeah, exactly. But we know you're doing your team a solid there, probably because it's their bread and butter. It's successful for them on 4th and 1. It's so effective. So anyway,
2 things on this real quick. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
Bills redoing their philosophy on the tush push next year. Maybe you put Dawson Knox behind Josh Allen. Give me who's their 6th offensive lineman that they used regularly?
Tommy Doyle or something like that.
That was not
Alec Anderson.
Alec Anderson. Yeah. But let's put those 2 behind Josh instead of.
Sorry, Tommy Doyle has been off the team for more than a year here.
I have no idea. I just went along with it because I had no clue. So.
No.
Whoever they put behind Josh, it obviously didn't work against the Chiefs. And part 2 is the other part of news. You're talking about Deion Dawkins. He has, I guess, plowed the way forward to have the Protector of the Year award now for the best lineman in the league, which is interesting. Hopefully it just doesn't go to a left tackle every time, but it'll probably be the best.
It might. I mean,
best left tackle.
I was going to say, for any lefty quarterbacks, it might go to a right tackle. But other than that, I think it's got to be. It's not necessarily a left tackle for the sake of it being a left tackle, but that's usually where you're just putting your best guy anyway, like your best offensive lineman. So by nature, you're probably going to get left tackles because those are where the stars are.
And maybe center,
teams.
a couple centers here and there. But Quentin Nelson's probably the best guard, right? So I mean,
right.
But anyways, so that's new news.
Other thing with the tush push that I just want to say. Josh needs to go right, like once out of every 3 times, just to keep him honest, because everybody knows which way he's going. And the Chiefs said they knew exactly which way he was going to go. And that's a lot of the reason why it wasn't effective in that game, because they didn't have to account for both sides of the center.
Well, it was effective, but the refs decided to spot the ball differently.
Semi-effective. It could have been.
No, it was not effective.
If it was actually effective, they wouldn't have to worry about the spot.
Correct.
Right. So, but anyway, moving right along here, we got a lot to talk about in this episode. Hard Knocks. It was announced that the Bills are now going to be the featured team for training camp for Hard Knocks, not the in-season Hard Knocks, which I'm happy about. I'd rather have training camp than in-season. I think it's the NFC East.
I think so too.
So that's funny for the Giants that they're getting kind of royally screwed here a little bit 2 years in a row with everything that happened with them on Hard Knocks last year, which is a lot of the discussion around what Hard Knocks looks for the modern team. So the big story with them was they had in-camera meetings when they were talking about letting Saquon Barkley go, and they didn't think anyone was going to pay him, and they weren't going to pay him. And obviously that ended up making them look like a little bit of clowns in the process.
He just happened to win the Super Bowl.
Right.
So couldn't have ended any more poorly.
And got paid, and really got paid.
Yeah, it's funny to see. I would like to see how this NFC East in season works out. I hope they play each other. I hope there's some rivalry games during that time frame. I hope the Eagles play the Giants at some point during this to see.
Yeah,
to see how that
they
goes.
will. It's division games. I'd have to look at their schedule, but these teams are going to run into each other during the course of midseason, I would think. But
it's exciting for training camp. St. John Fisher is going to be buzzing.
Yeah, I was gonna say I need all the Keon Coleman dorm footage. Like I want the Keon make it like a cribs tour. Like I want to see Keon Coleman be like, yeah, I've got 6 yellow jackets over here on here, and then we've got like a PlayStation 1 and hooked up, all that stuff. I like the deep dives in it. I don't think we're going to get a true people who want a real expose. Almost kind of pull the curtain back on what Beans and McDermott's conversations are like. I think we might get a snippet of that more than the embedded series that the Bills control, but it's important to note that it's not like Hard Knocks used to be where teams had no creative control. Mm-hmm. They have creative control in this. And the Bills weren't allowed to say no, because what I heard is they took away the playoff rule with Hard Knocks, where if you've made the playoffs in the last 2 years, you weren't eligible for Hard Knocks, which takes a lot of teams out of contention for Hard Knocks.
The Bills and the Chiefs.
The Bills, Chiefs, Eagles, all those teams that are perennially in the playoffs, these past 5 years.
A few years ago.
They did, but
it's, what is it now? Every 8 years they can be on it.
I think so. I don't know what the new format is, but so anyway, this is the first time that the Bills have been featured on Hard Knocks, as far as I know.
Yes.
Were they anytime during the drought? I don't know. I feel like I don't remember any of
first time.
That. First time. So big deal. Big deal. Should be fun to watch. I had the first initial reaction that everybody did, that it's like, oh, is this going to affect the team? And I'm like, it's preseason. I don't think so. And if it does affect the team, it'll be because Sean McDermott or Brandon Beane said something stupid and they regret it. And hopefully I would think that they'd have the creative control to be like, hey, you guys can leave that out. Like if Sean McDermott is dropping his 9/11 comment like he did by accident in a team meeting, like that's not going to, I don't think that's going to air on Hard Knocks unless it's something really good to that level where the producers just say, sorry, dude, we have to put this in. Like there's no way, you can tell your team that they need to band together like Al Qaeda did on 9/11. Like you can't do that. But
there is another interesting caveat to be eligible on Hard Knocks. If you have a first year head coach, you are not eligible to be on Hard Knocks. That's interesting.
Right. So we're clear of that requirement by, whatever, 7 years easily.
Maybe not next year,
But that's a good thing too, because I actually when I saw it, I was like, there are actually teams that I would be more interested in seeing Hard Knocks than the Bills this year for a couple of reasons. I am going to enjoy watching the Bills. Don't get me wrong. But I think, the Browns would have been interesting to see, where does, Shadir Sanders come in? What does that franchise look right now? The Patriots, obviously with a first year head coach, wouldn't have been eligible, but I'd like to see how Mike Vrabel is going to, impact that franchise, how he's running things. A lot of other examples of some teams that would have been fun to watch in this Hard Knocks as well. But
I think the Bills are a good draw though. This is an interesting year for that. And this offseason has been so different than the past few years, getting so close when you're not expected to get so close. What's the vibe going to be like at training camp? We talked about last year, they felt this pressure release after they got rid of Diggs. The expectations aren't so high. All the players that left,
it's right back.
That pressure's right back. So let's see. They talked about it in training camp. They were walking lighter and playing looser. Is that just like speak? Is that just like player speak?
I think it's a little bit of speak. I think there's always pressure, but no, you're definitely going to have that level of pressure throughout the season, especially through your first 7 games where you're expected to go like 6-1.
Well, they're favored in all their games. They're the only team.
They're favored in all their games, but you can expect some losses here and there. But if they roll out, 5-3, 5-2, 5-2 would probably be the worst that you could expect them to do and not be like panicking. If that makes sense.
5-2,
but I would be too.
It's a hard schedule.
But anyway, I'd like to see some more Bean and McDermott behind the curtain. If we could get some conversations between those two, I think it'd be really interesting. Yes. I don't think we're going to get the depth of what the Giants kind of got through, because like I don't think that you're going to get a McDermott and Bean conversation about James Cook and if they're going to pay him or not, because he's still got 1 year on his contract. I think that's something that has to take place behind closed doors.
But to see, like you said, the Bean McDermott, I don't know how to say
dynamic.
It. Like the partnership dynamic. Yeah. Who's the top dog here? Like, are they both the top dogs? How's this going to go?
Are they, if you got 2 number ones, you got 0. So is this a 2-man presidency? Is McDermott because he was there first? Is that kind of thing? Or is, the GM
first?
Yeah. It's a very interesting, like it's something we haven't had to talk about because not much has gone wrong, but when that day comes, if it does, and I hope it doesn't. I mean, I hope they just, win 4 Super Bowls in a row, right the wrong, and then retire and ride off into the sunset.
Give me one, please.
Yeah.
Give me an appearance.
I'll take one first. Yeah, for sure. But when we do have that conversation, it's going to be interesting because, I think it's just who does their job better at this point, because if one of them starts to slide, the other one is the one that's going to stick around.
I think Brandon Bean is above McDermott by a decent amount.
I think so.
Let's see how the defense do in the playoffs last year. I forget. How do
they're both responsible for those performances, but
yeah, and it's interesting.
Their hierarchy is just interesting because of the situation that they came in. McDermott was here first, brought in Bean, but general manager is usually above head coach. So
I don't usually watch Hard Knocks, so I am excited to watch.
I don't either.
Of it. Yeah. So I will be watching this one.
Everybody tune into HBO, which is HBO Max, formerly Max, formerly HBO Max, formerly HBO.
Yes, you might get it free through. I think Verizon and AT&T give it out for free if you have phone service.
I think so.
If you give them, you have to like check on that. You got to call your rep or whatever.
Yeah, I forget whose account we have, but we have it. So.
I have it too, and I don't know. I've lost track of who's got what of mine. So
right. Yeah. But all right. So the other news that we got that the owners voted on is that in the Olympics, NFL players will be eligible to participate in flag football, which is interesting too, because there's the U.S. flag football program that has people on it. The quarterback is been quoted as saying that he's offended that he thinks that NFL players would just assume that they would make the team. And I think if you're in the NFL, I think you're at the top level of your sport.
Why are you not in the NFL, Mr. Flag Football Man?
Right. Yeah. So anyway, all that will be hashed out down the line. The Olympics aren't until 2028, but I think you and I should both give our starting 5 for our ideal Olympic squad. As it stands now, obviously things will change before 2028. Just to debate this and where things slot in, because obviously you're taking the physical part of the game away. It's all about speed and agility. Yeah. And the Josh Allens of the world might not be your most effective option at quarterback.
I disagree a little bit. I don't think there is a little thing in the rule that your quarterback can go out for a pass, which Josh Allen has successfully done in his career. There's also a thing that your quarterback can receive a lateral, which has also been done in Josh Allen's career. Just because I think, but his arm talent is ridiculous. It's 70-yard field. The guy can chuck the ball. He's pinpoint accurate most of the time. If he's throwing to guys that are good, he excels. We've seen him throw some incredibly accurate balls, and Kyler Murray, Lamar, all these guys that can move are getting all this love. Like, I want a tall dude that can hammer the ball still. I mean, Jared Goff, he won the MVP in the Pro Bowl flag football games.
Jared Goff is kind of a sleeper pick, actually. Yeah,
but I have Josh written down. I don't know.
You have Josh. Okay. Yeah, I wrote down Lamar Jackson as my quarterback.
Why, I think
because of the versatility, because if you're rushing in flag football, he's so much more. He and Josh shake defenders in different ways.
They do.
Josh, okay, so you're talking about that lateral against the 49ers, right? When he got that lateral, he had a tackler on his shoulders and who he shrugged off, who couldn't get a hold of him and bring him down. Yeah. In flag football, that's a tackle. Lamar Jackson outright jukes people and avoids and spins, and he's a lot faster, actually. Not that much faster. He's got more side-to-side agility.
He might be a lot faster, but I would like to see him at a 40 head-to-head now in their career.
Right. I mean, Josh Allen is big. He's huge. He's physical. Obviously, if you're talking about NFL football, give me Josh Allen 10 times out of 10 out of those two. But
as a pure passer, isn't Josh better?
I mean, it depends on the year that you're looking at. But if you look at his passing stats from the last year, they're better than Josh's.
He's got a loaded receiver room, too.
I agree with that, too. Yeah. But don't sell him short on pocket passing. Like, he was not terrible in that arena by any stretch. Still was MVP caliber this past season. Like, don't let anybody tell you that Lamar Jackson can't throw the ball from the pocket.
I'm not on the hate of Lamar Jackson, but I'm on the Captain America of Josh Allen. Like, I think that's like perfect, right? It's a perfect story. Maybe it is for Lamar Jackson too. To see him be quarterback for a gold medal would be awesome for everybody. But I'm biased. I want Josh.
Well, if we're going for storylines, then my answer would change. But if we're going for like who would be the best fit for that, physically based on their skill set, I think my answer is still Lamar.
All right, that's fair.
Jared Goff, sleeper pick there because he's a very precision passer who has some of the best passing stats when he has a clean pocket.
Yes, he's very good.
In flag football, you're going to have a clean pocket.
Mobility-wise,
he's not going to be able to do anything against that rusher, though, which is the tough part. Yeah. So, but anyway, running back. Who do you have for your running back?
This is where I get rid of Jared Goff because you can only have one player from the same team on here. And I do have Jahmyr Gibbs as my running back of choice for my first choice.
Nice. I like that. You want somebody who can go out for a pass, right? Like you want a receiving running back combo. I was really thinking of the shifty guys here because if you've ever played flag football, if you have somebody who's shifty, it's not an easy tackle.
No.
And so I went with Devin Achane.
Yeah, I have him down. He's my second choice too.
Yeah, he's just fast. He's just insanely fast. Mm-hmm. And if you take the physical part out of the game, I think he shines a little bit there.
I think we can have a discussion about this in the next wide receiver slot because I would be good with having Devon Achane over Jahmyr Gibbs just to be able to have Amon-Ra St. Brown as a wide receiver. What do you think there? Do you think Gibbs is better or worse than Achane? Is it worth having Achane so you can have Amon-Ra?
First of all, tell me your three receivers because I thought kind of around this path, but by taking Achane as my running back, I was able to take Amon-Ra St. Brown as a receiver. So I didn't have that conundrum because I didn't have Jahmyr Gibbs written down.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that'd be a better lineup than the alternative, unless, depending on what receiver you're subbing. So who are your top 3 receivers?
Okay. My top 3, I got Malik Neighbors.
Okay.
Got him on there. I have Jamar Chase on there. Yep. He'll be 28 in 2028. I do have Amon-Ra. Now, the other one's a little dicey. I put Travis Hunter on here to be like, he could play both ways. So he could be.
Wait, so how many receivers do you have? Do you have 3?
The 2 that I have on there, Travis Hunter and Amon-Ra, like those are the 2. Those are my 3.
Oh, those are deciding between your third one?
Yeah, those are the 2 that I was stuck with. So because I had Jamar Gibbs, I couldn't have Amon-Ra, so I would take Travis Hunter. But if we have Devon Achane, but I still think having that 2-way ability.
So you're thinking about this for 2028 because you're trying to choose young guys, right?
Yeah.
See, I was just kind of thinking like now-ish.
Okay.
So like I think that's why our answers are different. Mine's a little bit more straightforward. I have Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and Amon-Ra. Yeah. And instead of Amon-Ra, I was between Amon-Ra and CD. Like
CeeDee Lamb
because
would be a good pick,
either of those guys, I mean, those are your kind of default 3 top receivers in the league, for a reason. And I feel like those receiving skills still carry. Well, actually, I think AJ Brown is in the conversation for that one of those top 3 in the NFL. But I think he plays a little bit more of a physical box out game, which still might be effective.
Yeah.
He's fast, he's big, but I like the way that these guys set up a little bit more.
I thought the same thing about AJ Brown, but Jamar Chase is going to be, I think Jamar Chase is like 25 right now. Yeah. And Malik Neighbors is like 22. Malik Neighbors plays every style that you could want. He could play the box out style. He could play the get open style. And Amon-Ra is just shifty enough. But I think if you had Travis Hunter or Malik Neighbors, it kind of fits that role that they can go get a ball or like run a route, either way that they can do it. So,
yeah. Obviously, if you're considering that this is 2028, also that'll take out people like Tyreek Hill out of your consideration, I would think at that point. And maybe even this year. At that point, he's starting to lose his step. Yeah. So, he's cooked. That's funny.
As somebody who drafted him in fantasy football this year.
Yep. Brandon also by proxy was cooked because of that. So anyway, Hallmark movie coming up for the Bills, which I laughed so hard when this was announced because I'm like, I'm not going to watch it. And now I'm like, there's Bills in it. Sean McDermott is in it.
Sal Capaccio's got a role.
Sal Capaccio's got a role. He's talking about it on GR today. He's like doing the whole actor thing. He gets really excited about it.
I had some students try out to be extras.
Really?
I don't know if they got it or not. I didn't ask. So
that's funny. But yeah, so it's a whole big thing. I guess I will watch it at this point.
Yeah.
But anyway, I thought I'd do a top 10 with this because I had too many ideas running around in my head. So we're going to do the top 10 potential subplots for the Bills Hallmark movie. So the top 10 potential subplots for the Bills I keep saying Hallmark movie, not Highmark Stadium. Top 10 potential subplots for the Bills Hallmark movie. All right, number 10, Sean McDermott pitches joint training camp practices with Al Qaeda. Number 9, Brandon Beane transforms into Blue Hulk every time he gets angry.
Could be.
We've got Green Hulk, we've got Red Hulk, Harrison Ford now. I think that's the natural progression in the Marvel universe. I don't know. Might have to buy some rights for that. Number 8, a Sabres fan wakes up from a 12-year coma and asks to be reinduced. Number 7, Sean McDermott lives out the plot of A Christmas Carol, but the 3 ghosts are Leslie Frazier, Levi Wallace, and Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
Number 6, Trey White Goalie Academy produces the next Dominic Hasek, but the Sabres still miss the playoffs.
Yep.
Number 5, Matt Milano and Terrell Bernard find lost treasure in a Lake Erie shipwreck, but discover that the true treasure is friendship. Number 4, Deion Dawkins falls in love with his dream snow woman. Number 3, the Sabres get 3 Christmas wishes. They use them all on defensemen and still miss the playoffs.
That happened.
Number 2, Josh Allen wins MVP and marries a superstar actress. Oh, wait a second. Number 1, the number 1 potential subplot for the Bills Hallmark movie. The Bills beat the Chiefs in the playoffs, which could only happen in a Hallmark movie.
Yep.
So anyway,
hey, it might happen this year.
Yeah, hey, it could. Could have happened last year or the year before. Or the year
Did you
before
know any team that's been on Hard Knocks has not won the Super Bowl?
Yeah, because it's kind of tough to go from no playoffs the year before to winning the Super Bowl. I'm sure some teams have done that.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, with the rule change, you're not usually getting top dog teams in Hard Knocks. I mean, if you look at the last, excluding in-season Hard Knocks, I mean, it's usually like what? The Jets, the Raiders, the Browns.
Didn't the Lions have one a couple years ago?
Did they?
Dan Campbell's second year, the year they drafted Hutchinson, because he had to sing.
That sounds about right. But again, the Lions weren't good at that point.
No, they were coming off of their bad start where they finished decent. They won a few games at the end.
Right. But all right, well, you got anything else? I think we got through everything pretty quickly as best as we could.
Scotty Scheffler wins PGA Championship. Oh,
I have a stat for you. You because you were there on Friday, which is really cool. That's awesome. Yeah. Welcome to the South, buddy. This is from Oddshark. Wins in Charlotte since 2022.
Oh, I saw this. This is hilarious. Yeah.
The Carolina Panthers have 14. How many do you think Scotty Scheffler has?
Since 2022?
15.
In Charlotte?
More wins in Charlotte since 2022 than the Carolina Panthers, who play 8 games there a year.
That's crazy.
That's nuts.
Yeah. A lot of Bills fans at the PGA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're easy to spot in the wild, usually.
Yeah, but they people are in their gear. We did see some Bills stuff, but I wore this hat. So everyone's like, go Bills, go Bills, go Bills.
Yeah, I was going to say Charlotte's another hot spot for some Bills fans. I have an uncle that has lived there for years too. Shout out Uncle Joe, listener of the pod. Yeah, so Charlotte, North Carolina,
the Queen
a lot of Bills
City.
fans down there.
Yeah, it's more than a hot spot. I think it's crazy to me. There's so many New Yorkers from up there. Yeah,
definitely Buffalo South. But all right, you got anything else?
No,
got to get to.
No.
We'll be back next week, hopefully at the normal time. Shoot us a DM, shoot us an email, any of that stuff. On Spotify, I think you can comment on episodes now and we can comment back. So cool. If you want to insult us to our faces on Spotify, you can do that. Again, not another Bills podcast at gmail.com is our email. Don't get it mixed up. We had to change the name,
yes,
trademark infringement, all that stuff.
Sure did.
And you can find us on all platforms at Not Buff Podcast. We'll be back next week. And as always, go Bills.
Go Bills.